helped you throughout the journey. The virtual stage is all yours, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you so much. Let me begin by saying how impressed I am. I've been with you since 10 a.m. and I've just loved listening to the speakers who preceded me. And you are very, very privileged that you heard all of them. I want to thank your director, Professor B.S. Sahai, for envisioning this and making it happen. I want to thank Dr. Mukbil Burhan, who's been in contact and inspirer behind my joining also as well as a great team. Dr. Prateek Jain, also you're the chairperson of the Center for Entrepreneurship, Innovations and Skill Equipment. I want to also recognize, I just enjoyed Mr. Gopalakrishnan, listening to him, Mr. Rohit Kansal. I loved the brilliant, very bright officer. I'd like to have a copy of his, if you are going to make a copy of his speech. It was very good. I'm very proud of the fact that he did so well as a Secretary of Higher Education. And then I also heard Mr. Anil Kaul. So I've been with you and I've enjoyed the summit. It's not dragged. It's been very, very to the point. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's not often that one gets this kind of luxury of time to listen, but today I did have the time. I found the time to be. So I have learned more than I am going to speak more. So since I've been so many hours with you. You asked me straight away a pointed question. And then, of course, we leave some time for Q&A. It's now by my clock 2:25. I must finish by 3:15 as I see. Mr. JB Singh is to follow me. So I'll speak till 3 and we leave 15 minutes for more Q&A from the cameras which may be on. Not from the cameras, not from only the names, but the cameras which are on. So great, looking forward to. You asked me a very nice pointed question. What were my unique leadership qualities which I practiced to survive? Believe me, to survive. For a public servant, the survival to my mind is not to stay in service, but to accomplish what one has to do despite many odds. In public service, there are colleagues and peers. There are no mentors. Believe me, in public service, in government service, there are no mentors, surprisingly. Once in a while, you do get very good mentors when you are under training as probationers who do handhold you. The reason is that we don't have mentors because nobody has time in public service to mentor you. They're also stressed out. They're so hard pressed, and those who ought to be mentoring are very hard pressed for time. They are very occupied, or they appear to be very busy. I do not know, or they feel they don't have the time for it. So we all survive despite no mentorship. I would only say exceptions, of course, are the rule without me generalizing. So when I said survived, is because by and large, we are all left on our own to the whirlwinds and the challenges, the hurricanes and the storms and the changes, the disasters, which keep coming our way in the government, as you know, and we deal with them mentally and physically. So let me share with you, when I became the first woman of the Indian Police Service, I had no colleague. I had only male colleagues, but they were fine. I don't mind having only male colleagues, but there was a natural distance. There was a natural space. I was not known to them. I didn't know them. And they took time to be friends, but then we all compete for our seniorities, for meritorious service medals, for our positions, postings, transfers. There's just too much of competition internally. Seniority is a major issue. Hierarchy is a major. You see, this is not the way it is as much. There are some spillovers even in the private sector of what I've just said, but it is very, very prominent in the public sector. Issues of particularly hierarchy. And so let me share with you quickly the points I've listed out to address your question. Is that what are the unique leadership practices? So I'm looking at the unique ones which I've culled out for myself, digging into my years of experience. And I'll illustrate some for you as I explain. Number one, my first unique leadership, which I felt compared to many others which they did not practice, some did, but few did only what I am going to share with you as a whole, as a package, whatever I'm going to share with you, I've addressed it as a package. But I also wish to share with you that the points which I'm going to give you will help you through whether you join the UPSC at some stage. I know many management students do, they aspire to do, or they join public sector, or they are into the corporate world. But I can share with you that that's what Indira Nui said when she released my book, Fearless Governance, that she said it's a blueprint for good governance. And the leadership practices which have been listed in this book cut across private and public sector barriers. So they are leadership qualities which will be equally relevant for you. So if you could make a note, all you just do have is customize it the way you want. My first of all is, I have seen, and what worked for me Secondly, you practice openness. You're not just saying that you're very versatile, you're accessible. You are practicing accessibility. You're practicing openness. You're practicing listening. You are practicing research. You're practicing probe. You're practicing. That means you are knowing now a little more somewhere because you're accessible. You are practicing accessibility. Always listen. You're practicing first openness before you're practicing listening. So therefore, you are practicing research and stakeholders. In your case, there'll be stakeholders. There may be you're walking the market and you're in marketing. Stop by a shop. Ask customer, client, shopkeeper, how's your product doing? Why is it always listen? You're doing well. First before you ask, be a consumer, be a buyer. So you will get to know what's happening. So listen, see, feel, study, examine, videograph, whatever you want to do. Customer, client. Now you come back to the office. How's your product done? Now you use first that you're now not telling what's wrong. Be a consumer, be a buyer. Third, you will get to know what's happening. Explain, listen, communicate, see, feel, timeline. Examine, document, follow up, customer 101. Now, automatically, this is leading to communication. It's leading to timelines. Supposing I have seen a particular pothole, or I've seen a broken down road structure, and I've seen I visited it in the morning. What would I do? Automatically, and of course, I will call my colleagues. I'm going there. Sometimes you can keep a surprise, and sometimes I have seen and fall in a particular year with a wireless or a broken down. I'm here, come and join me. The traffic will join in the morning, will join. Everybody sees together. And they are ashamed. So it's naming and shaming. You don't have to say anything. The problem is sometimes and you can then ask, I'm here with a wireless or why has it been left? I'm here, come and join. Where is the junior engineer who was supposed to have seen it himself? Everybody sees. Why has he left a pothole? And they are ashamed. Why? Who was supposed to have patrolled at night to see this happening? All this stuff. So it's communication and it's a timeline, okay? By when will it be over? Because you've seen it. Where is the junior? Ask the junior engineer who suppose कब तक भर जाएगा? Why has रात तक भर जाएगा? शाम तक set a timeline. There's no paper. No paper, but you're achieving everything. You're documenting. And it's a timeline, okay? You document by when will it be over? Because you've seen man is ask the junior engineer place to run because he's documented. If you want to save it in his folder, you can save it. That's a performance. No paper. So then there's a follow-up. You already done follow-up. Say document कब तक हो जाएगा? शाम तक follow-up. मुझे picture भेजना. So I used to say, all right, जब भर जाएगा ना, please send me a photograph of my document. You have done it all in his folder by just morning performance, morning visit. So and there's a follow-up. You already done timeline. It's documented. It's followed. And it's also major interact. So I used to say how these three things are solidly interactive. This is the way I did, and it really worked on magic. Paperless work, but I achieved it all in that one morning start. Or even during the day if I wanted to visit. Now the fourth thing, the fourth practice which I did involved social audit. Bring social audits. Because sometimes we think we are doing audit. You can have stakeholders. I, for instance, there were some, it's a market. It's a market. Supposing we practice which I put up a police post. So how does the police post perform? How do I know? Because sometimes हम बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं, जो आदमी बड़ी चीजें मिलते हैं, इतने बजे से हम यही रहते हैं. Some I ask the nearby, it's a market association. Can you please tell me how they go? So I'm getting my social audit. How do I know? You are saying you're very अच्छा काम करते हैं, जो आदमी बड़ी चीजें मिलते हैं, I have a social audit. So the police, so you create systems of social audit. I created it from my police. Can you please or administration police? Let's say for an irrigation. So see, I have the PWD working. I involve you are saying you're very I involve the central. I involve the nearby neighbors. You create whether the work is being properly done or not. So involve can you or review social audit. By having points of working. I know your office. I know your office. I know your people you work. It doesn't matter what rank they are. Know them because they are your real to involve real work. So know your officers how? You know them by spot. But you can also do one your officers. There's a whole chapter of know your office. Know your people you work with. Now, it doesn't matter what rank they are. No, because they are your real do look at. By the way, this book is downloadable with compliments from my website. But you can also do one. If you go to kiranbedi.com and go to Fearless Governance, it says you can download the book. I have written the book to be read, not to be sold. I have donated all royalties already. By the way, my objective was to share my life experiences that doesn't remain restricted within me. So you can download the governance, read the chapter 101. It's got pictures, it's got QR code. I have go to each chapter with a QR code. If you click on the QR code, you can read more. You can see snippets of the chapter, photographs of that chapter, color. So you read chapter 1. Please find time to read but one on one. It's got bear with me. I used to have a time that a particular hour on the day where I used to turn by turn and see all the options. Earlier there were photographs in person, color. Then you started to do one-on-ones on the web. But connecting with the people, which means if supposing I'm calling a person Ajay Singh, and I say Singh Sahab, kaise ho raha Singh Sahab? But when it comes to me, I'll say Ajay, kaise ho raha? Kaise ho raha? So when I call it by Ajay, first name, on the way I get close. When I say Singh, it's different, which means it's like Kiran Bedi. Bedi kaise ho raha? But if somebody calls me Kiran, I feel rather say Bedi kya ho raha? Bedi, I don't like it. Ajay, kaise ho raha? I don't like it. I like my first name. So when I call my senior calls me by my first name, I like close. Similarly, Singh, I call my junior by his first name. You like it. It's a warm thing. But if somebody calls me Kiran, your predecessing speakers talked a lot about empathy. They talked a lot about communication. All your speakers talk about a high percentage in your higher education. The research is saying emotional skills, soft skills, which is all you will be able to do better. Technical and soft skills is the answer to the future work. And this is emotional skills, where I connect with the people. I listen. Technical and soft hearing is the answer to the future work. And तुम्हारी फैमिली कैसे है कोई कहेगा मेरा माय चाइल्ड मैम आई हैव डिसेबिलिटी चाइल्ड एंड आई एम पोस्टेड ऑन माय वाइफ इज एल्सवेयर आई लिसन एंड फाइंड आउट कैन आई बी ऑफ एनी हेल्प आई एम डिमांडिंग वर्क आउट शुड आई बी नॉट लिसनिंग टू इट एंड फाइंडिंग आउट इफ आई तुम्हारी फैमिली कैसे है कोई कहेगा मेरा माय चाइल्ड मैम आई हैव ऑथेंटिक दिस पर्सन इज एंड आई पोस्टेड ऑन माय नोइंग योर ऑफिसर्स इज अनदर क्वालिटी which is the fifth point I've shared. Demanding work five. I've told you I've combined morning rounds with morning nutrition together. So therefore, this is the fifth point. My point number 6, knowing your is constantly upskill for solutions. You are a leader. When you go on the ground, when you do 101s, when you do your presentation to the boss, you are always looking for what can I do at number 6. You are actually looking for ideas. And how do you practice them? Or how do you ideate more? How do you find a solution? Or a problem is thrown to you, how do you find a solution? You are always looking for what's the mind of it. So you are constantly for ideas. That's when Mr. Krishna Gopalakrishnan talked about 20 days in a year they are putting aside for training. This doesn't matter for public service at all. You are constantly this is required where you are dedicating a month. In fact, we have training reserves in manpower. But many times the seniors don't allow the juniors to go for any training because they feel the present is more important than they require. So many people lose out on any upskilling in public service. But many times you do this morning rounds. If you are on the job, if you're listening to people, if you're doing 101s, you will know many people lose out on any upskill. That means you are constantly upskilling. You're not doing this morning rounds. You are actually individualized. You're listening to people. If you're doing 101s, sometimes you do group training. Sometimes we need to do individualized. That means you are so you call it mentoring. I think it's an institutional need, individual need. It's an individual need because sometimes you can bunch them, sometimes you cannot bunch them. Somebody is in the primary level and somebody you call it mid-level, somebody is in the higher level, but you all bunch them. When you bunch them, it doesn't really, it helps, but it doesn't always. But if you individualize it with 101, then find a specific course. Sometimes you go individually say you go for this training, or you go for this training, or you do this online program. Then I will sponsor you. The government will sponsor you. See how you're doing? You're individually strengthening the empowerment. Upskilling solutions. solutions. With solutions, you are all you do this, and you don't need to minute that. When you're doing 101, read that chapter carefully when I describe what is 101. You will see, don't minute it. He should not feel threatened that somebody is recording me. No recording. It's all mental record. There's a trust establishment. It's a trusting relationship you must establish, that I trust you. I don't need to mentally record the मैं देखूंगा अब महीने के बाद तुझे पूछूंगा तूने ये कहा था. No. When you start meeting people like this on a regular basis, you don't forget. And you know what? When he or she comes back to you, they come back with a smile because they are fulfilling your trust. Many women, as Lieutenant Governor, when I was doing 101s with many directors who were women, and when they met me on 101, do you know what they said? Ma'am, I wish such 101s had been all through our career, and we had started with our career, because nobody was meeting anybody. In public service, you are not mandated to meet anybody. These are your own individual practices. These are your individual choices. This could be your corporate culture. This could be a business practice. But in the startups, you are the one who is setting up your own cultures. You are setting up your own practices. So it's up to you, friends. It's upskilling for solutions, and through 101s, knowing your officers, and up for an upskilling in solutions. Seventh, my next point is work on convergence and collaborations. What has COVID done? One of your speakers said COVID broke silos. It brought in more harmony and unity. Today, technology is helping us to collaborate more, to converge more. I think silo time is all off. Even in startups, if you've got friends and you can work with each other, would make you grow faster. So if you can look at collaborations and convergences, would be like, for instance, I give you an example how I did it. As Lieutenant Governor Puducherry, there was a declining water table in Puducherry, declining water table, and everybody was left to themselves. Every village, everybody is to how do you water harvest, and irrigation canals were full of silt. And every time there was a good rain, the irrigation canal or the pond or the tank or the wall was full of silt. So nothing would percolate, all would overflow. And in the overflow, there was a flood in the villages. See, flooding happened instead of water seeping in because everybody was looking at themselves. Every village was by itself. What I did was, that's another chapter in the book called Water Rich Puducherry. If you read that, you will find a solution in corporate social responsibility, how you can all work together. What I did was I formed a coalition and a consortium of those companies, pharmaceuticals, MRFs, Whirlpools, Lucas, Inox, who were all using a lot of water, groundwater, to deal with their product. I brought a group of them and said, look, you all adopt irrigation canals from where you are nearby drawing water. You hire a contractor, you hire the machine, the earth mower, you adopt this irrigation canal, you clean it up so that the water comes here, which you are drawing out of all. Then the rainwater goes into the irrigation canal, into the tanks, etc. You'll be very happy to know, by evidence and proof, when I left Pondicherry, I left the Puducherry Union Territory 7 meters high. It was 3 meters, it was declining by 2 to 3 meters when it was measured later after 2 years of solid work of corporate social responsibility, collation and collaboration. But now this is collaboration with government, because now they were partnering with my PWD, but we were spending no money. Government of Puducherry had no money. So, but what do we do? Do we leave the people high and dry? No. I think this is one of the things which Indira Nui did also as the CEO of PepsiCo, where she found the performance with purpose concept. When she said, and that's how she also got engaged, her company got engaged in water harvesting issues. So friends, convergence and collaboration, wherever you come, private or with government, how you do it, you can find your solution. And I did this, I've given you an example. 8th, raise, I've already said raise support and conserve. This was my 8th point, which I've merged with, explained to you with convergence and collaboration. 9th, envision ahead. Envision ahead means when you are in the field, you will start looking at the vision ahead. You will start looking what is the long-term solution. You will come back and on the desk and you start planning ahead, which means you will start developing from an idea to the problem, to the possible solution, to the short-term, to long-term, to vision ahead. Visions ahead are not done in isolation. Visions ahead are done when you see, when you feel, when you touch, when you hear, that's when you use all your five senses on the ground. That's my first point, is very good. Start your day in the field. Do not ruin your very morning creative hour straight away going to the field and start getting involved. No, start your day early and go into the field and then go to the office. But you are available in the field. So envision ahead. 10th is, my point is empowerment. What are you doing all this for? All this for is for empowering people. You're empowering your rank and file. You're empowering your organization. You're empowering your consumer. You're empowering your people who you're working for. It depends on who you serve. Look, I was serving. You are earning. You serve, I serve, you earn. When you're in the private sector, you serve and you earn. I served and I earned my salary. You serve and you earn for your shareholder, and you earn goodwill, you earn reputations. In my case, I served, I earned my salary, which I would have got anyway, even if I hadn't, even if I had not gone on the ground, even if I had not brought the donors together, I would have got my salary. That's the joy and security of being in public service. You don't perform, you still get your salary. You don't do these, you still get your salary. On the contrary, when you do these, sometimes you break vested interests, as I did. There's a whole chapter in the book called How Did I Deal with the Hostile Chief Minister? How did I deal with hostile politicians? How did I deal with hostile corrupt officers? How I had to remove a chief secretary. I got him removed because he was not honest in his work. I had to get him out of the system because he was not cooperating and not being part of the change. So despite that, how this is very, very vital, that how do you deal with it? So in fact, in our government service, low performance is the surest way of security and survival. But performance is challenging the status quo all the time. Whereas changing the status quo for you is profit. For me, change as public servant, changing the status quo is a threat. But the question is, what are you there for? Finally, it comes to the end of the purpose of your work. So for me, the purpose was service to the community, integrity, and in fact, I will stop this answer with a few minutes now to go, is I gave a concept of T to everybody. T means trust, empowerment, and alignment. The T mantra was, when I took the oath as Lieutenant Governor, the T mantra I gave in the opening statement to everybody was, trust. I shall remain, look up to that. I will trust you, you trust me. We begin with the relationship of trust. I empower you, you empower yourself by following the law and by also feeling that we are all here for you. Feel empowered. You feel empowered, we will empower you, rank and file, and the people. And alignment or accountability, you can call it accountability, is whatever decisions as seniors I take, I shall be fully accountable. But you as people also be accountable towards the laws and regulations of the city. So when you give a T mantra and a mission statement, so because I had a T mantra and had a mission statement, I had a purpose in performance, I took on the vested interest. But as public servants, that's not the challenge we always have. We may have run into vested interest, we may not. There's a whole chapter even on that, how we took the legal judgments, how we were threatened by the politicians taking me to courts every time, and Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Lieutenant Governor's responsibilities. So that's a history for you to have a look, for leaving questions for you. You asked me one more question to say, what would be my advice to all students who want to follow and become future leaders? Do you want to know this question answered now or later, Mr. Agarwal?
Ma'am, as per your wish, I mean, if you think it fits here, then perhaps right now would be the best time to have it.
Okay, let me wind up this with it. Let me get the questions first.
Sure.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you firstly for this session, ma'am. We touched upon very important topics like the prevalence of hierarchy, training, and importance of starting your day right, walking the path, social order, and even knowing your people, connecting an emotional quotient. And I'm sure that the students over here also have a lot of questions along these lines and from your journey over here. So the audience sitting with us at the moment, if you have any questions, kindly raise your hands and we'll reach to you. Yes. Uh,
Uh, yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
Rohan, could you please face the camera? Ma'am is, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for such an enlightening question, such an enlightening session. As we go through the fourth revolution, which is AI revolution, be it private sector and public sector, every one of us are talking about a digital revolution and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So my question is, how can we thrive during our ongoing disruption, and at the same time, how can we future-proof our organization and our people? As you have talked about the power of we and not me in your book, Fearless Governance. So how can we do that?
By staying alive, staying on your toes and not resting on your oars, being alive to whatever is happening, sensing around and anticipating the change. But if you rest on your oars in easy rocking chairs back in air-conditioned rooms and not be available to people, not accessible, not listening, not reading, not researching, you will be behind time. That means the more up to date you are in what is going around, yet be prepared for disruption. We did not know COVID would come. None of us were prepared. We had no medical students involved. We had dispensaries defunct. We didn't have the PP kits. We didn't have the other equipment which we needed. We didn't. But then we rose to the occasion. But why not? Now you're anticipating. Now you have 40 medical colleges inaugurated by the Prime Minister of India in UP. Now you have many more. That's being proactive. Now you're building more highways. Now you are creating these innovation cells. You are being proactive. Yet be prepared for anything. So it's my question is, I think one of the best thing our Prime Minister did was, he's not listening, so I can tell you that I'm not doing it for him. The point is, I'm only proving a point. When COVID struck, one of the finest thing which our political leadership did was get to the vaccination. Had they not taken it, and they invested a lot of money, they pumped a lot of money into it. That is good. That is it. That was anticipation. We scored because we finally got the vaccination. And today India has saved hugely because of the vaccination. But that was an investment at that time. You pumped in money without knowing that we will be able to create one. But we didn't create one, we created more than one. And we also exported it. So I think it's being anticipatory, being risk-oriented, being informed, researched, on your toes, being mobile, and you'll see you will be able to think ahead. And listening to your junior colleagues, because then you're getting ideas from all directions.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yeah.
Like, does leadership also include like taking out of the box steps always, even when there is not a need of doing so?
Of course, yes. You must keep modifying. You must keep reinventing. If you don't reinvent, you are already stale. One of your earlier speakers very beautifully convinced. Because then you're, see, that's what one of them said.
इम्प्रूवमेंट अपने अंदर जो लाना चाहिए, बहुत सारी चीजें.
Somebody speaking in between.
Please check.
Please switch off your mics.
IT team, please check. Please switch off your mics.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
So is that Srikar? Somebody said that they answered that every company is earning, they generate, where are they earning the new revenue from for a new product or for a new research and an invention? That's a risk factor. And that's where, so every company is looking for a new software, a new product, right? New marketing technique, a new strategy, a new office, a new branch, a new acquisition, a new collaboration. That's called reinvention. That's how you keep growing. That's where acquisitions and collaborations come. A new product. What did Indira Nooyi do? She brought the Quaker coats. One of the first things she did was to buy up the Quaker coats. She gave a whole new image to PepsiCo. Saying it's not fizz water only. It's also got nutrition, a food which you like to have as a breakfast. And that's how she multiplied, not just by staying only on the fizz water. Because
Thank you, ma'am.
you ask her, when I read her book, Life Living Life Full, she said she saw, as she was socializing, people were not picking up PepsiCo. They were looking for, that's how they got Tropicana. They said, when I saw, people are not looking at, they were no more drinking, they were becoming conscious of calories, the sweet water. So she reduced the sugar. Then she said, but I need to have something more on the table. That's how the Tropicanas came and other stuff came. So it's all by her observation. That's what you need to do. So acquisitions, observations, and then she hired some of the best researchers. She hired some of the best researchers to research to make sure that this PepsiCo is minimal in sweetening. And she spent a lot of money. That was investment. Now, does it work or not? It did work for her, but risk taking is a part of your growth. New product, new invention, reinvention. Yes, next.
Yes, Nikhil, could you please ask a question to ma'am? Please face the camera. Yeah.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I had a doubt when we were talking about the potholes, and then you were going from one place to another place every day in the morning and looking for what were the discrepancies and assigning the person who was in charge for it and how much time he can fix. And I was thinking, can this not be automatically automated? Like we were also talking about the user social audit. So ma'am, when different people click the pictures of the potholes, and then for that we can keep the counter of it, and ma'am, then based upon the data analytics of the database, we can find out who was assigned the particular role for it, and from that we can directly create a ticker for it, that who is supposed to clear it, and ma'am, for that there would be a certain specific number of time. So
but you remember in medical services, you still need to see the doctor.
Yes,
even if you digitize everything in medicine, you still want to see the doctor, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So some things can be digitized. Do digitize, no harm. Do digitize, photograph, make app, make application, make an app. People are using an app. There are apps available. People are putting up the apps of the traffic violators. It's working. So you have the app and both, but there is no substitute to your human presence. Remember that. You can automate so much. You can have robots around, but there is no substitute to the human hand. You can do both. Okay, next. Next, please.
Next question.
Hey, it can't be that whatever I said meets all your needs.
Ma'am, I had a question, like, since we are focusing on Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India. So ma'am, is there any scope of rebuilding our very traditional industries which are diminishing in number, at the same time pushing forward the fifth generation industries like the drone sector or the space, etc. in the future? And that is my question. Can we do a mixture of the traditional Indian architecture or textiles along with the future or the modern technologies also?
I think it's going to be all the times of survival of the fittest. As long as they continue to survive their life, if they're decaying, the new generation will then, it is survival of the fittest. So if they want to progress more, they want to generate more, they'll have to change. Times will compel them to change. Be a next generation, because it will come back better educated, better qualified. Or it's losing concern, so they'll shut it down and sell it as a real estate. So it's all situational. Next. Oh, no voice?
No, ma'am, voice is coming. We can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Pooja. It is going, madam. Okay, now I don't want to be disturbed. The voices, you're hearing me?
Yes, ma'am.
Very well.
Yes.
Next.
Navya Lal.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, as you know, India follows a quasi-federal form of government. So how does a person can thrive and rise in the environment of hierarchy and when there's distribution of power at different levels?
Well, there is a bureaucracy everywhere. All India civil services are selected and given over to the state cadres. All of them have to perform their duties. Politicians will come and go, changed, but they have to be cleared. And remember, responsibility is not of the politician. He'll come and go every 5 years. It's a bureaucrat. The Auditor General will follow you. The CBI will follow you. The Enforcement Director will follow you. Police station investigator will follow you. So the bureaucrats, that's for the stability. This is how administration, civil service is the sheet anchor of the government. That's what it's called, the steel frame. The steel frame remains. The others come and go. The locks and keys may come and go, but the steel frame remains. And the steel frame is the bureaucracy. And each officer is responsible for his or her role, her decision on the file, note sheet. And if they want to be cowards, it's up to them. If they want to be conformity, it's up to them. If they want to be courageous, it's up to them. They be honest, it's up to them. If they want to be dishonest, it's up to them. If they want to be fair, it's up to them. If they're unfair, it's up to them. Each one will have its own consequences. You will have to make a choice. You want to be afraid? Okay, people will scare you. You be honest, people will challenge you. Be ready for the challenge. If you are a conformist, you will be status quoist. You'll go back as a person who's unwritten. You'll come and go unsung. It's up to you. If you want to be investor, people will remember you behind your back. वो आया था और ये आई थी, वो काम करके गई. हम अभी भी याद करते. It's up to you. What purpose you come to the service with? But states, federalism is fine. That's why every state has a chief secretary. Every state has its own DGP. Every state has its own police force. Every state has its own civil service. But that remains. People will come there. They will ऊपर वाले आएंगे, transfer कर देंगे इधर उधर. But service is the same. That's it. It's up to you to be coward, conformist, or courageous. It's up to you. You can be a conformist, fine, status quoist. You can be coward, it's up to you. And you can be a courageous person, it's up to you. Depends on who you are. What's your character? How did you grow up? What kind of grooming did you get in your families? What kind of education you get? It's all going to be visible in your decision making as you sit on those chairs. Or it's a corporate world, it's the same way. If the corporate world doesn't suit you, you do your own startup, be your own master, and you will employ people rather than be employed. It's up to you. You want to be an employer or an employee, it's up to you. These are your choices you make. Nobody told me to join the Indian Police Service. It was my choice. I joined. I thrived. I survived it. I fought it. I had this vested interest. I dealt with them. I didn't complain. I didn't cry. I just dealt with it because I wanted it. I loved it. I respected it. I was willing to take on the challenges as they came. I was not afraid. I was not afraid because I was ready to moving out anywhere. For me, from Andamans to Jammu Kashmir is beautiful. So I'm willing to go. So why am I afraid? With a low family pack, then there's nobody. But if you become heavy, then you're heavyweight. Then you are overweight. Then you are finding it difficult to move. I remained light. I was ready to pack and go. So they were afraid of me rather than I was afraid of them. That's the point.
Thank you, ma'am. Due to paucity of time, we could perhaps accommodate one final question, if anyone.
No, let's finish rather than one question. I want to give you the last answer
Yes,
because I think that should make us finish at 3:15.
That suits, ma'am.
Good. Now the advice to the students. You said to become better future. Number one, stay agile. Number one. Two, keep preparing. Focus on preparation. Prior preparations, staying agile, prior preparation. Constantly upskill, constantly. There's no stopping you. Constantly upskill, whatever online courses, big line courses, short line courses, please go in for upskilling. Need-based, your finances be need-based. Don't move towards extravagance. If you're starting on startup, please go need-based, draw minimal, invest more. Because if you start consuming more, even at a startup, you have nothing back to invest. So draw only need-based and not greed-based. Fifth, collaborate. Sixth, please research, remain research-oriented. Upskilling means also research-oriented. That means being alive. Unfortunately, you got everything in your hands in the computer. Constantly reinvent. Look at your invention, seeing how can you do it better. There's a better way of doing everything today. Today, there's a better way of doing, or maintain the right way. Even maintenance is a very important reinvention because you're challenged by competitors. Remain supportive and empowering to your rank and file. Upskill them as also. Empower, as I already explained to you on 101. Maintain a very positive mindset. No depressions, no stress, no worries. If you do the morning routine, the morning nutrition, feeding yourself, preparing for your morning, if you don't rush your morning, if you prepare your morning, you will remain positive. You'll not say, "Main bada worry, how do I do? I have two decisions." If you meditate, your decisions will come in your conscience will speak to you. It did. In fact, you must read my morning nutrition chapter in the book. That's called Morning Nutrition, how I set it up. So have it. And the finally last question, 10 points I gave you, is self-audit. When you sit quietly, going for self-talk, self-audit. Sometimes you can do talking to your friends, relatives, families, but your self-talk is your best. Maybe go for a walk and do a little self-talk and listen to yourself as we become two persons. Agar main ye karu, mujhe mera, so become a mirror to yourself. So mirror yourself with any doubts and talk to yourself. You will start getting better answers. Of course, you can consult, but I think self-audit and self-mirroring is very, very important. These are my 10 points of the last question you asked me, friends, that the ideas I could give you for becoming future leaders. But you've had some very good lectures prior to my coming. I'm only adding a little bit to that, but I think those were great questions. I look forward to actually the scripts of those questions, of these two. Can I get them, Mr. Agrawal?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. We'll make sure that they are mailed to you.
Hanji, mailed to me at the scripts of these. They're
Sure.
treasures for me too. I made my notes, of course, while listening to you. Okay, thank you very much. I think we met the time. You can have in time the next speaker.
That was an extremely insightful and thought-provoking session, ma'am. I now request Dr. Pankaj K. Agrawal, Chairperson, Executive Education, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, students. So very good afternoon, Dr. Kiran, ma'am. It's my singular privilege to have been invited to propose a vote of thanks in this session. On a personal note, I have been reading about you for a long, long time. As a student, we used to read about you. We used to see you on TV, hear about you. And somehow over the years, it so happened that whatever you achieved and did, they became a source of inspiration. And again, on a very personal note, whenever I get some assignment which I find is not up to my liking, let me share with you, ma'am, I am reminded of your assignment of the hardship. And I draw inspiration from it, that if you could convert that posting into an opportunity, I think nothing could be harder than that. And I confess that your challenge that you have taken, the way you have handled it, continues to inspire me personally, and I'm sure to all my students who have known and read about you. Also, ma'am, you have set an example how to have a balanced personal life too. And when I talk to my family, conflicting priorities between spouses and all those things, again, I'm sharing with you that at times we have had your mention during our conversation that how you have managed it all. So, okay, I think I'm getting a little emotional, but ma'am, it's a real honor for me to be on the same stage with you today. I wish it were physical, not digital. Anyway, whatever I have opted, I think that is something I accept gracefully. Ma'am, summarizing your session is very, very difficult because I'm sure my students must be feeling like a greedy child getting into a departmental store where they have so many goodies that they're not sure which one to really like more and which one to leave. So you covered the aspects ranging from administration. And one thing I really liked was the order in which you took it all. You started with self-management. And I think unless a person can manage oneself, starting with the morning routine, it's very, very difficult to really manage others and manage your career, etc. And then you went on and especially the focus on one-on-one in this day of emails and virtual meetings and today to reach it. I think, ma'am, these are the gems which are going to resonate with us for a very, very long time. And ma'am, though you were in administration, but I could see echoes of whatever we teach in business schools in your entire talk. You talked about keeping your finger on the pulse of your clients, your customers, your field. All that is something that we've been talking about in business management. And coming from you, I think that carries that additional touch of credibility, which our students do not find otherwise. So I'm sure, ma'am, your presence here has inspired us all. We know your busy schedule. I'm sure so much of demands on your time. It was really very kind of you to have accepted our invitation and to have delivered your talk, especially tailored to the needs of these youngsters. And we are so very grateful. We wish we could have you here in Jammu and Kashmir at our campus physically. We will look forward to having that opportunity. And we are sure, ma'am, next time when we request you to be here, you will definitely try and grace our campus by your benign presence. So I thank you, ma'am. I have really no words to express my gratefulness to you. And yes, one last thing, ma'am, the best thing is that today you have not just concluded this session, you have also ensured that after your talk is over, we have a resource which we can continue to refer to through your book and continue to keep learning from you. That is the beauty of a teacher, ma'am. We in teaching do this, and you, without being a teacher, have done this. That's really wonderful. Thank you for that. And I thank my students for being present here, all the technical staff for making this session a successful one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Wish you all the very best. We'll keep reading and hearing about you in the Economic Times and the Financial Express. Some of you, and we'll know where you're coming from. Thank you and all the best. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal, once again, and the entire institute, the Jammu Institute, your Vice Chancellor, your directors and the faculty, and all of you students. Thank you. Thank you.